Bismillah. The first question says, a person works in Long Island. Can they shorten their prayers, do the other things that a traveler can do, 25 miles away, etc.? To keep things simple with regards to the time that we have, there are one or two ways of the people determining what is traveling in Islam. The ulama of Islam, they have two main ways of determining when a person is or isn't a traveler. The first way, which is the way of the majority and the safest way, and that is based off of distance. They say it's based off of distance. They say that when a person travels for approximately 50 miles outside of his city, then he's now a traveler who's allowed to shorten the prayer, who's allowed to break the fast, who's allowed to pray sitting down, the involuntary prayers, the voluntary prayers away from the Qibla. Anything that a traveler can do. Anything that a traveler can do. And others, they say, rather, it isn't based off of distance, but it's based off of tradition, and it's based off of custom, and it's based off of what the people deem and consider to be traveling. What is considered another city, what is considered another town, what is considered to be a road trip or a journey, that is considered traveling, regardless of the distance. As far as the modern interpretation of these two views, then there are several things that have to be taken into consideration. Number one is what, Nafis? Is a bridge. You have a bridge within a city. How big is the bridge going to be? How long are you going to be on a bridge inside of your city? At best is what? 10 minutes? 10 minutes driving across the bridge inside of a city? Less than that, without a question. 10 minutes is a while driving.
Traffic might be out.
We're talking about moving. 5 minutes. Think about the biggest bridge within one city. Think about it critically now. A bridge in a city, not from connecting two cities. Or we have the concept, what, Nafis, of a toll. You have to pay a what? A toll. Or we have the concept of address. Or we have the concept of legislation. Legislation. If you go to this Walmart or Dick's Sports, you can buy this. But no Walmart or no Dick's Sports or no sporting good inside of this city can sell that thing. Why not? Because it's a different what? Different jurisdiction based off a different what? Different city. It's not the same city. Even if it's across the border. Or it's a 10-minute drive, but it isn't no longer what? You're not in Queens anymore. And the proof that you aren't in Queens is that you can buy this thing at this sporting goods store, but you can't buy it where? Dead smack in the middle of Queens. So these are all modern day understandings, Nafis, Barakallahu Feek, which are used to understand when and when isn't a person traveling. If you use distance, then no, you're not a traveler. Because you just said 25 miles. That's not 80 kilos. If you use the custom of the people, one may say, I'm traveling. It's Long Island. It's not Queens anymore. It's different. One may say, I go across the Verrazano Bridge. How long is the Verrazano? How much money do I have to pay? What body of water is beneath me? Where you from? So I'm from Brooklyn. I'm from where? Queens. Hollis. How many parts of Queens are there? Name the sections of Queens, quickly. Hollis, Queens Village, Jamaica, Flushing, Ozone Park, South Ozone Park, Corona, Fresh Meadows, Flushing, where else? Far Rockaway, Forest Hill, Kew Gardens. These are all sections in what? One may say that Queens is a separate what? No, city. Brooklyn, there's what? Best-Eye, of course, Brownsville, East New York, Flatbush, Red Hook, Brownsville, Fort Greene, Canarsie, downtown Brooklyn. Everybody clear on this or not? And what your person says, I'm from Brooklyn. Brooklyn is my what? City, and not New York City. Manhattan, Harlem. Come on, guys. Midtown, Lower East Side, Uptown, Chinatown, Soho, وهكذا. Everybody clear on this? So one could possibly say that each borough is considered a what? A city in itself. And the proof that it's a city is number one, bridges. Number two, tolls. Number three, tunnels and sections. Sections. There's only going to be sections to one what? City. وهكذا. So therefore, it depends on how you calculate it. If you base it off of distance, as we said, then no, that's not traveling. If you based off of custom, do the people consider Long Island to be a part of Queens? وهكذا. So it depends on how you look at it. Me personally, if it was me, I'll take the view that's based off of tradition and custom and not mileage. If I have to pay $15 to go somewhere, if I'm driving for 30, 40 minutes within one city to another city, then that's what? You're traveling. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. That's in brief. Fadda ya akhi.
Breaking the iftar. Is it said before breaking or after breaking?
Question says the dua for iftar, before or after? At the time of iftar. Obviously, when you eat the date, you drink something, then the dhahab al-dhama, the thirst has gone away, and not before. So you bismillah, you eat it. At the time of eating it, you make the dua. Inshallah ta'ala. And Allah knows best.
Online. This is F. Batsman Ali from London, UK. Assalamu alaikum. Does eating riba make a person possessed by the devil, and or does the person become short-sighted when it comes to the halal and haram?
The question says, does eating riba make a person possessed by the devil? And does it make a person short-sighted when it comes to making the halal and the haram? The general rule is that if a person eats riba, it doesn't mean that they have to be possessed by devils or demons. الذين يأكلون الربا ما يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس. Let's talk about resurrection and a bad ending, a bad death. Doesn't mean they're going to be possessed by demons. Everyone is possessed by a demon who eats riba. Doesn't mean that. Doesn't mean that. It doesn't state that. Okay, that's the first part of the question. The second part of the question is that the more of a sin that you do on a daily basis, especially if it's a major sin, and you keep doing it, and you keep practicing it, and you become addicted to it, there lies no doubt it can have a very adverse effect on the way that you look at things as a Muslim, in which something becomes so normal. It becomes such a normal, natural thing. One can personally have some type of doubts. Why is riba such a bad thing? If you think about it, it makes sense. We're not living in the medieval times. This is how things are done. I pay this, he accepts it, everyone knows it, they accept the interest. What's the big deal? You lose certainty. You lose some type of submission. A poison could fall into your mind, no doubt. You continue to make zina over and over and over again. Is it possible for you to believe that zina is haram and you keep doing it over and over and over and over again? So some of these things, some of the ulama, they mention that it weakens a person's faith, it weakens a person's certainty, and it has an effect upon how they conceptualize things. This is possible, yes, especially something like riba. But the problem is what, brothers and sisters? What is riba? And saying that certain acts and dealings are riba, in actuality they aren't. Or if they are, not differentiating between necessity and lack of necessity. That's where the problem comes. You may think that this is riba, but it's not. It's not riba. Or it may be riba, but it's what? A necessity or hardship. It's a difference. It's a difference. A person paying for surgery and a person buying a huge flat screen TV. They're two different what? Two different issues. A man says, I have to have a place for my children to live. My kids can't be on the street. But it doesn't mean that you have to have a high-rise palace, a mansion. They're two different what? Why like that? Everybody clear on this? A luxury car versus a good, reliable car. They're two different what? Two different issues. That's all I'll say with regards to the dangerous and important topic of riba. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
Ibrahim Ali from Sheffield, UK. if someone misses Jumu'ah because he doesn't want to leave his sister in the house with a stranger, is he sinful?
Question says, if someone misses Jumu'ah because he doesn't want to leave his sister in the house with a stranger, is he sinful? It depends why the stranger is in the house. What is the stranger in the house for? Did the stranger come over to fix something that has to be fixed during this time? It's a necessity. Someone came over to fix the furnace, to fix the heater. It's freezing cold outside. That's one thing. A necessity. Or you made bad planning. The Maytag man, he could have came over at another time. You could have canceled it. You didn't manage the time properly. Who is the stranger in the house with your sister? What's the stranger? Who? A plumber? Who is it? If it's a necessity, then it's permissible for a person to look after a necessity and not go to the masjid. But not based off of mismanaging one's time. Especially something like Jumu'ah. Mismanagement of what? Of time. You could have made an appointment earlier instead of making an appointment at 11 a.m. on Friday. So the general rule, if that is a necessity, that's one thing. My grandmother is sick. She needs care all around the clock. I couldn't go to Jumu'ah today. I had to look after her. No one is there. That's one thing. But you could have planned. You could have allowed someone else to come. Why could that? So it depends, huh? It depends. What's important is to plan your time, manage your time, huh? Wisely. And Allah knows best.
Hassan from Blackburn, UK. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Should we sit in the tawarruk position during Tarawih prayer? If so, which rak'ah should we do so in? Jazakallah khair.
Question is, wa alaikum assalam to Allah, with regards to tawarruk, when you sit and you place your left side of your bottom on the ground, and you take your left leg, your left shin under or between, alaikum assalam to Allah, your right calf and your right thigh, and the last tashahhud of Isha. Should you make it in Taraweeh, so on and so forth? The general rule is tawarruk in the salah is optional. It's not obligatory, recommended. Any prayer that you're making. That's number one. Number two is the difference between tawarruk when you're praying by yourself or when you're leading the salah and when people are next to you. Is there enough space for you to do that with regards to the row? It may not be possible. You may have to just sit in a normal first tashahhud position because there's so many people. If you have the ability to do it and it's not going to harm you, and it's the fourth raka'ah, the second tashahhud, la bas. La bas. And it also depends on how the imam leads the tarawih. Is the imam salaaming after 2 or is he making salam after 4? All of these details will give you your answer. Whether you should or shouldn't sit in the tawarruk position. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
This is HM from Toronto, Canada. What does Islam say about performance anxiety and its cure?
About?
Performance anxiety and its cure.
And insecure?
And its cure.
And its cure. Performance anxiety.
Yeah.
Question says, coming from Toronto, what does Islam say about performance anxiety and its cure? Please go back to the 5 minutes of fa'idah that we did. We talked about this many times before, but the 5 minutes of fa'idah called Respect the Blade. Abdul Qawi? Respect what? The blade. In which we mentioned the hadith of Anas radiallahu anhu and Sahih Bukhari and others, in which the Prophet ﷺ used to seek Allah's protection and refuge from certain things. And from the things that he used to seek Allah's refuge in was min al-hammi wal-hazan. Oh Allah, protect me from worry and protect me from sadness. Worry and sadness, grief. Ask Allah to protect you from anxiety, being afraid, being scared, being worried, always thinking about the worst thing is going to happen, exaggerating the situation. Ask Allah to protect you from these things, whether you're performing or whether you're performing not. All right. Also, the khutbah psychotherapy. We spoke about this. The people of istiqamah and Jannah, they will have no fear nor any what? Any worry. We spoke about this. The basis of anxiety, the basis of a person having a peace of mind, not being fearful about the future, nor being regretful about the past. So these things are all sicknesses and illnesses. Sometimes they're spiritual, sometimes they're physical, and sometimes they're mental or psychological. The foundation of them is to ask Allah to protect you therefrom. After that, sometimes the best way of overcoming fear or anxiety is to directly face a thing. It's to directly what? Face a thing. Dead smack. Get over it by having no option but to what? Get over it. If you're nervous of giving a speech or giving a khutbah, then the best way of getting over that nervousness and anxiety is to get on the minbar and give the khutbah. And get embarrassed. Make a fool out of yourself. What feels worse now? The anxiousness, or you feeling embarrassed in front of all of these people? No question. Eventually you're going to say, I'm not going to say that again. I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to what? I'm going to do it. And that's why a coach, a good coach, he takes a nervous player and he does what? Puts him in the game. Why are you putting him in? Go ahead. He's not going to miss the shot. Inshallah. Why could that? Lead the salah. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to forget. No, I'm going to do what? It's the best way of breaking a person out of that. You've memorized it, but for one reason or another, you become nervous. You become anxious, and you make a mistake. The best way of you getting out of that is me keep what, Mukhtar? Pushing you to lead the salah. What? Over and over again, and eventually it will break. Along with dua, along with looking how stupid it is to be unnecessarily anxious. You can't control it. It's the qadr of Allah. Different ways of getting rid of this illness, this problem of performance anxiety. This is in brief. Obviously, this could be an entire lecture, and we've spoken on the issue, as we said, many, many times. This is what I would tell you right now. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. May Allah remove that from you.
Initials SA from Edenhoven, the Netherlands. What is the ruling on breaking your fast with another country while the sun goes down in your country, etc.? You live in UK and break fast with Mecca.
Question coming from Edenhoven, Netherlands. What's the ruling on breaking your fast and you're in a country based off of the time or the time zone of another country such as Mecca? You live in the UK. Every country has its own zone of sun rising and sun setting. Right now, it's nighttime. Is it nighttime in Saudi Arabia? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But what time of the night is it? When we're fasting, are they fasting? So, Kuwait and Saudi, it's one thing. UK and Saudi, night and day. And Allah Azza wa Jalla has never made us worshippers based off of countries and people, but only based off of what we see, what we know. When the white thread becomes clear to you from the black thread with your own eyes. So no, you can't do that. Unless you're in the same what? Location or same zone. That's incorrect. That's wrong. And you break your fast or start fasting prematurely. And if you do it prematurely, then you have no fast. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. We have time. I believe it's time for the adhan now. 2 more minutes. Walaikum salam, inshallah. We'll stop here. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Walaikum salam.